When the Europeans start to arrive in Pennsylvania, the popular understanding is it's about 90 to 95% forest covered. So they probably developed the mindset, just looking at all those trees, we can cut trees down forever, and there are always going to be trees because they're just everywhere. They're in the way. They were coming from a very heavily agrarian society in Europe. You need space to plant fields and till crops. They won't grow in and amongst the trees, so they need to be cut out of the way to make room for the fields. They need to be cut down to make houses and sailing ships and wagons and everything else that you need to sort of recreate that agrarian society here in the New World.
As this new world was taking shape, it was discovered that the region had an abundance of white pine growth.
And white pine has a tendency to grow very tall, very straight, and was very desirable as used as ship masts. So that's really where the beginning of the lumber industry in Pennsylvania had taken off, was seeking out these white pines for shipbuilding.
The history of this, then burgeoning industry, is celebrated here at the Pennsylvania Lumber Museum, located in Potter County.
And the exhibit, we talk about challenges and choices. The choice is basically to cut a tree down or leave a tree standing. The challenge is trying to balance that aspect. And the whole site sort of talks about how that hasn't always been in balance throughout the history of the Commonwealth.
Starting in somewhere about the 1840s or so, the harvesters moved into the forest and started to move timber, primarily along the river systems. If you look at the river systems, we've got the Susquehanna River, comes down through Williamsport. And so you had major drainages that came into Williamsport.
Sometimes you could just send the logs down themselves down the river, and they could be caught then by log booms. So there were booms, especially around the Susquehanna River. Williamsport had a major log boom as well. And then the free-floating logs would just get captured by this boom and sorted to mills down there. Prior to sending your log down, you want to make sure you brand it with your log stamp, basically a hammer that would mark the end of the log with your individual brand so that you could be properly compensated for your lumber.
Thanks to the abundance of wood floating down the rivers, dozens of sawmills opened in the area, making Williamsport the lumber capital of the United States.
And it's the Millionaires' Row, and so there were more millionaires in the city of Williamsport than any other city in the nation.
To float the wood down the rivers more efficiently, logs could be assembled into rafts, held together by ropes and saplings.
At the same time, there were logs moving in the Allegheny River system. Logs in the Allegheny moved all the way to New Orleans, so that you would float down the river system, the Ohio, the Mississippi, to New Orleans, and then walk home in time to do it again the next spring. And so these were rough and tumble people who made livings off of forest.
The rafters themselves, a lot of them were a different breed from the woodcutters. They were specialists in their field because the rafts were unwieldy and they had to be steered, and there was a steering paddle on the front and also on the back. They also lived on the rafts. One of the great stories that the rafters tell is when you did get in the big water into Ohio, and that's where the money was. Well, what did they eat mostly? Potatoes. They kept buckets of them. Those rafters that had to watch at night would walk along the edge of the raft, and then occasionally they'd pick up a potato and they would throw it from whatever side they were on. And if they didn't hear a splash, they would yell, "Hard right rudder," or "Hard left rudder," because they knew they were getting too close to shore. So not only was the potato essential to keep them going, but it was their radar, so to speak.
Starting in about 1885, there was a confluence of technology development. One was we created a crosscut saw that had raker teeth, and so you could fell trees with a saw rather than an axe. And there was the development of light gauge railroads. And we began harvesting trees away from river systems, and that continued from about 1885 to about 1920.
There were a number of women who actually were employed by logging camps as cooks or cookies. A cookie is an assistant to the cook. Obviously, the cook is preparing the meals, 3 meals a day for, anywhere from maybe 25 to 100 men in a log camp.
There was an insatiable demand for lumber. It really built the nation. Didn't just build Pennsylvania infrastructure. By the time you reach the 1870s and 80s, and we're looking at Western expansion after the Civil War, a lot of our lumber is being shipped out west to build towns. So by the time we become national leader in lumber production, we're harvesting, probably 5 million trees in the course of a year, which is a lot.
Pennsylvania's forests were being cut at an alarming rate. And all of a sudden, people were looking out their windows, and instead of seeing green hills, they were seeing mudslides.
And we just get to a point where we have asked the forest to do too much. And it can't continue to regenerate on its own.
The forests of Pennsylvania helped build a nation. But at what cost? Not too long after leading the nation in lumber production, PA would be at the forefront of a conservation movement. The first step toward forest recovery happened in 1886 with the foundation of the Pennsylvania Forestry Association. The PFA is still active today, which makes it the longest continuously operating forestry association in the country. Dr. J.T. Rothrock, born in McVeytown, was its first president.
He did not have a forestry degree. Forestry degrees weren't being given at that time. His background was medicine, and he also had a degree in botany.
It was a pretty new concept in the 1890s. It was the idea that forests can and should be professionally managed.
Pennsylvania Forestry Association started buying some property because properties were being abandoned. They wanted to preserve forest land, so they were buying what at the time they called preserves.
Working with Rothrock to secure state lands was Myra Dock. She was a botanist, chemist, and geologist who became the first woman to serve as an appointed state official for Pennsylvania. During Myra's 12 years of service, 1 million acres of forest became reserves. These land acquisitions eventually became Pennsylvania's state forest system. Rothrock was also instrumental in establishing the Mont Alto Forestry Academy in 1903. This was the first school in the nation to train foresters to work in the state forests. Ralph Brock was the only black student to graduate in 1906 and became the first black forester in the nation. In the 1930s, thanks to Franklin Roosevelt's New Deal, Pennsylvania received federal assistance in the form of the Civilian Conservation Corps. The CCC was developed as a way to put unemployed young men to work during the Depression.
They helped plant trees. They helped replant the forest. They helped build forest roads. And even today, you can still go and see a lot of their work evident in state parks. If you see something that looks like an old building in a state park, chances are it was built by the men of the Civilian Conservation Corps.
Today, Pennsylvania's forests are alive and well. Nearly 60% of the state is covered by woodland. The Commonwealth has 121 state parks and more than 1.5 million acres of state game lands, making today's forests a virtual playground for lovers of nature. And an invaluable resource for everything from heating fuel to artwork. The forest heritage is celebrated during the Bark Peelers Festival, held every July at the Pennsylvania Lumber Museum.
We do burling out on the pond, so that's the floating log in the water, a competitor at each end of the log. They start running and spinning the log in the water, and the person that can stay on it the longest wins. And we have the distinction of crowning the PA state champion for burling.
Standings as state champion.
Pretty much because I think we are the only institution that does a burling event. We're in a very good place now. 100 years ago, we were in a pretty bad place. But thankfully, there were folks, both private conservationists and people within the state government and at the federal level, that saw the damage that was being done, realized the long-term impacts and threats that we were under because of overharvesting or, non-sustainable practices, and really sort of shifted our approach toward sustainability. I imagine it was very difficult, and it's part of that, our technology and our means really outpaced our understanding of nature.
There's something about looking at Pennsylvania hills and seeing all that green that's just very, very comforting. The forest is life on multiple levels. It's vital to our being.
Watch full episodes of Keystone Stories now on the PBS Video app.